Hi, I'm Holly, and with my sister Heather, you're listening to Haunted Family Podcast, a weekly podcast about the paranormal, unsolved mysteries, and even some true crime.
A lot of true crime. We do not have a true crime episode this week.
Well, kind of. I mean, like, one of my stories could be a true crime. Actually, my only story could kind of be a true crime.
You slacked this week.
I know. I told you, though, if you carry me this week, I'll carry you next when we jump back into true crime.
Tonight's topic is something that I really like. I know I like a lot of our topics, but I really like this topic. So, stop talking to Ernie.
I'm not. I'm talking to Vanessa. I'm dropping 3 shirts off to her tomorrow.
Oh, they're really pretty shirts.
Thank you. Just in case I don't edit this out, I do shirts on the side, and I have an Etsy shop. And I had friends
and that Etsy shop is where you can find Haunted Family Podcast merchandise.
Oh, actually, I don't have any Haunted Family Podcast merchandise listed, but I will before this episode goes live. Yeah.
How else is people going to be sporting their favorite bloody handprint shirt?
I don't know. They would send us a message and say, hey, can I have a bloody handprint shirt?
Well, that'll work too.
The
Haunted Family Podcast hats are not on her Etsy shop, but if you want one, you can email us at hauntedfamilypodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you an invoice through PayPal, because those are created at my home.
Yeah, and we don't really live near each other, even though you might think that we do.
No. We are together tonight by the magic of Skype. And Skype is a very crappy magician sometimes.
I know. I feel like we're fighting Skype tonight.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to jump right into the episode?
I do. Hold on. Let's go back to this Etsy shop thing, because I never did tell them how to find me if they wanted to find me.
Oh, okay.
It is cat hair glitter. It used to have a different name, A&E, but they let me change it, thankfully, because really, cat hair and glitter just kind of sums up my life. Yeah, and I think it's the cat, the hair, and the glitter are all capitalized, but everything else is lowercase, possibly. I don't know. I'm sure that if you Google it, is it still called Googling if it's on Etsy? Like, if you Etsy search it, is it called Googling?
I think it's just called searching.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Buy lots of stuff from her, so that hopefully she can buy a new house, a bigger house, and have a dedicated studio.
That would be great.
It would rock.
Well, it would definitely make me happy. Okay. So we're not doing true crime tonight. So sad.
So tonight's episode is past lives and reincarnation. Because, they're kind of
the same thing.
I actually tried to talk Anthony into letting me do some past life regression on him as part of this podcast, and he said no. Because he's a big old fuddy-dud who isn't going to take one for the team.
That's sad. I mean, I'm sure if you had Emmy with you, she would have let you do it.
She would have. She'd be like, oh, yeah.
She totally believes in past lives and feels that she was murdered in a past life. So
she has very strong opinions about this, too. I, too, believe that I've had a past life. And Holly kind of believes, but she's not 100% convinced. It takes a lot to convince Holly of something.
Yeah, I am a skeptic until I see it. I'm a very jaded person in general.
She is. She also has this very unique ability to just absolutely shut off herself to paranormal experiences, which she has done at various points in her life for long periods of time.
I know, but that comes in handy.
It does.
I mean, I would happily be shut off right now if you weren't, like, sucking me back in.
But it's so much fun. You have to admit, this podcast is so fun.
It is so fun.
Say it with some enthusiasm.
Woo, it's so fun.
Okay, so towards the end of the episode, I may discuss some of my some of the things that make me believe that I've lived past lives. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. While researching this episode, I found an old Huffington Post article about 4 signs that you may have had a past life. Number 1 sign, deja vu.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
The feeling that you've been there, done that, seen that before.
And I have had that, but I also have a terrible memory. So, I mean, I literally could have just been there before.
Yeah, I mean, like, Emmy might walk in the room and she'd be like, oh my god, I have a child, I forgot about you.
No, I'm not that bad, but I am kind of bad. Um, I asked Ernie about this, and he was like, "Well, I had deja vu last week at the football game." I was like, "It's not deja vu if you actually played on that field. Like, that's not deja vu. It actually happened. You're just remembering."
Yeah. You have vivid, lifelike dreams.
Well, see, I do that because I lucid dream, and I always remember. Well, I don't always remember my dreams, and sometimes, like once I'm awake, my dreams don't make sense anymore. Case in point, I had a dream last weekend about George Bush, the second, not George Bush the first.
I've been having weird dreams lately too.
Was it about George Bush? Because he was just walking down the street and he was telling me about the interior of his car, and he was telling me it was microfiber, and I was trying to explain to him that microfiber is not a strong enough fabric for a car seat.
Well, it's not. No, my dreams have been about Mamaldina.
Oh.
Like, for the last month I've been having dreams about Mamaldina. The first dream that really kicked it off was that everybody in the family had decided they wasn't ready to bury her yet. So they figured the best place in the world to put her was open casket in my living room. And every time you'd walk up to, like, touch your arm or something, her arm would move. And in my dream, I was trying to wait until my boyfriend's mom, who's a nurse, got off work, so that I could ask her if she knew how long after someone died that they still had, like, muscle twitches and spasms.
Well, that's
But
way
then I woke up before she
scarier
got
than
home.
my.
I told her about this dream and she cracked up laughing at me.
I mean,
Because
that's
my
a lot
grandmother has been
scarier
dead for
than
over a
my.
year.
That's 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. 2 years?
Mm-hmm. I got Maxie.
Okay. Grandma's been dead for 2 years, so that'd be a really long time to have her out in my living room.
Yeah.
But, like, no, just like every dream for like the past month has been about Maladina in some way. And then when I found out that Podgy died, I think that maybe had a connection.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, Podgy was Grandma's next door neighbor our entire childhood.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see tonight if I have that dream. I don't remember what I dreamed. What I dreamed last night.
Oh no. You should dream about George Bush. Maybe he'll tell you about his
I
car
will
seat
see if I can
interiors.
make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was crazy. There was no Secret Service. He was just walking down the street. And then he just started telling me about the interior of his car. And you know what? I actually kind of feel like if I was in Texas and I ran into him, I just have a feeling that that's what he would be like. He'd be like, hey, let me tell you about my car interior.
He was very unpresidential president.
Well, I mean, I just think that he'd be just like a cool person to hang out with.
I think so. Have some nachos with some guac.
Well, I was thinking pretzels, but okay.
He'd probably steer clear of pretzels. Talk about how the Texans are doing. Yeah. Okay. Point number 3. You feel drawn to different cultures, time periods, or are able to pick up different hobbies and languages effortlessly.
Or it could just be that you have a mental aptitude for such things.
True. We do know that you are not drawn to the French language.
I'm not, although I did take 4 years of it.
You still struggle.
I know, but you know what? I think those 2 years are going to help me because that's like it's considered a communication or something, so I think that counts as some of my communication classes.
Awesome. I hope so. You have a soulmate or soul companions, people you feel drawn to, are connected with on a deeper level.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I can say that absolutely for me.
Is Anthony your soulmate?
Case in point, We met one of my soul sisters. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about my soul sisters first.
Okay.
We met one of my soul sisters while we was on our East Coast tour of pilot truck stops. Miss Luann.
Yes, who is very into the paranormal.
She is. We bonded almost instantly when we met on a old school paranormal what is the word I'm looking for?
Message.
Forum. Many, many, many years ago. Actually, there was a group of us that met around the same time, and I mean, we feel connected on a deep level to each other, and we call each other soul sisters because we're corny. Is Anthony my soulmate? Anthony and I definitely share a very deep connection. He is one of my soul companions. I'm sure of that, which is evident by the fact that we have been together for so freaking long.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like you're my soul sister.
I feel like I'm your biological sister.
You're that too.
I don't know. I don't know that I feel like I have any friends that I would consider my soul sisters. No, I don't think so. I mean, I just generally don't like people though, so there's that. I mean, ex-coworker of mine sent me a picture of a pillow. Like those mermaid scale pillows. So one way it says something, and then you do it the other way, and it's just sparkly glitter. And it said, "I hate people."
That's you.
No, I was like, I
really
I need
is
that
you.
pillow.
Okay, so I took a past life test online.
Wait, hold on. Are those the only signs that you may have a past life? Because I have a couple.
That was the only ones in the Huffington Post article. It was titled 4 Signs You Had a Past Life.
Okay.
And I read 4 signs.
I've got 2.
Thank you for paying attention, Holly.
I can't count. Okay, well, I've got 2 more. Birthmarks that are unexplained. Also, pain that doctors aren't capable of determining what it is.
Actually, I have a case that talks about that. Very interesting. Okay, so I took a past life test online. If our listeners want to take the same test, it is just for fun. This is not an actual gauge of your past life. It is past.
This is a scientific
It is not scientific.
study.
It is pastlife-test.com. And after answering several questions, it determined that in my past life, I worked as a fortune teller and numerologist on the fair circuit in Ankara, Turkey. And my name was Ilana Baltimore. I was born in 1884 and died when I was 65 years old.
Okay, what's this address again? I have to go to it.
Pastlife-test.com.
We shall see what I am. How long does the test take?
It took me about 3 minutes or so.
Okay, select your most favorite color. My most favorite color is not even listed.
A lot of mine were not. A lot of what would be work for me was not listed. So I just went with whatever my next one was or whatever worked for me.
I love this. Quality that describes or that characterizes you the most. Hot-tempered. Let's go with that one. Oh man, what if you have 2 fears that terrify you the most? Because you know how my fear of the dark is, but I also equally am terrified of snakes.
Go with the dark. You are very, very feared of the dark. I just said feared.
I'm feared of the dark. Okay, what is your favorite school subject? None of these.
None of mine wasn't listed. Mine is history.
Mine is English, believe it or not.
Yes, dear listeners, if Holly leaks his party in, she was an English major once upon a time. She will correct you when you're using the wrong there.
But then I also turn around and do it.
I just used the wrong there, Holly.
I know. Well, I mean, you said it, so I didn't actually know because it's got to be written out. But
you suspected it because it's me.
Because you said it, yeah. I was a fortune teller in a previous life too.
What a quinky-dink.
My name was Ilana Baltimore.
What?
We were the same person.
Were we the same? Did you inherit your caravan from your mom and your grandma?
Yes.
Oh my God. We're twinsies.
Oh, that's so cool. Gosh, I love this super scientific past life test.
So, dear listeners, you take this test and see if you were also Ilana Baltimore in a past life. And we'll start up some sort of big convention of all the people who were this person in a past life.
We will all get together and have a party in a caravan that we inherited.
Yay! I would love to own a gypsy caravan. But knowing my luck, I'll just get stuck with the Dodge Caravan.
I think our mother, I mean, we do have the same mom.
What, we do? What? Huh?
I think Mom might have been a gypsy in a past life.
I firmly believe that our mom was probably a gypsy in a past life. And for those listening, we have some evidence in our family that 2 family members was actually dropped off in this area by gypsies. So,
Okay, why can I not get gypsies, tramps, and thieves out of my head?
I don't know. Don't sing it. We'll owe her money.
I just hummed it.
And we can't afford it. It'll be just like when Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake sang Poop in a Jar.
That's our shameless Hasty Dixie plug for the night. If you have not heard them, look them up. They're awesome.
I recommend Alien Abduction Pro or Poop in a Jar for the comedy aspect. But they also have some really good, gritty, emotional songs.
Yeah.
Like She Was Skinny When I Met Her.
Oh, God. They don't do anything bad. Like, everything that they do is awesome. So,
their version of War Pigs is the version of War Pigs for me.
That's kind of how I feel about Fat Bottom Girls.
Having seen them perform that live and almost getting hit in the head with the neck of the bass from the bass player, totally accidental, just sold it on me. That song belongs to them. We probably just offended some listeners, but I don't care.
Oh, we got listeners who are probably like, what? There's a song called War Pigs?
Probably so. Okay, so there are a lot of famous people who believe in reincarnation. Some of them actually surprised me. Some of them did not. I sent Holly a little meme earlier in the day. Let me see if I can scroll up and find it. It's a picture of George Harrison of the Beatles, for those who don't know, sitting all cross-legged on the floor, and the caption is, "You go on being reincarnated until you reach an actual truth. Heaven and hell are just a state of mind. We are all here to become Christ-like. The actual world is an illusion." I mean, he was probably tripping out on drugs at the moment, but that's really deep.
Yeah. I mean, that's, in some way, that's how Emmy feels. Like, she, I guess I should say, our religious background is very complicated. As in, Heather and I were raised Baptist, but one set of grandparents were Church of Christ.
And the other set was Old Regular Baptist.
Yeah.
Actually, one of our grandfathers was actually Catholic until he met our grandma. Because he's Native American and was raised Catholic, because that's what they had there. So it's very interesting religious background.
Then we got older, and I became Methodist and drug Heather into it as well. And then on the side, we have a little, Wiccan spirituality going on. So, and then my ex-husband is now Mormon, but he was raised Enterprise Baptist. So the girls have been exposed to a lot of various things throughout their life, and we kind of just let them decide for themselves what they believe.
They follow their own path, wherever their path is leading them.
Yeah, so Emmy's thought on the whole thing is that God would never let you be punished. Like, He loves you and wants good things for you. So the concept of torturing you for eternity is just out of her scope of reasoning. So she believes that you're reincarnated until you get it right.
That's kind of along the lines, and I'll talk about her later. Along the same lines as what Melissa Etheridge believes.
Yeah.
And Melissa Etheridge actually has a very interesting take on how sexuality relates to reincarnation.
I always tell Emmy that I think she's an angel. Like, I do not know how I produce such a good and kind child. Like, I don't know how that happened. So I always joke with her. Like, it's, you know, the concept of like old souls in little kids. Well, Emmy has always been an old soul. Like, she's, even as a baby, she would look up at you with these, like, this just expression that was so not a baby expression. And I mean, I know baby expressions, that's my job, but she just, I don't know, she's just always been much more spiritually old than.
Oh, well, yeah, we were talking. I think we were talking about George Harrison comment. He wasn't the only Beatle that believed in reincarnation. John Lennon famously said, "I am not afraid of death because I don't believe in it. It's just getting out of one car and into another." He also believed that Yoko Ono was his soulmate, eternal soulmate. He was also probably very high when he made these statements, but you know, it is what it is. Once, while he was on LSD, he called an emergency band meeting to declare that he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. The band stopped him from going public with that.
Okay, this has nothing to do with that, but today, Hannah and I went to visit Dad, and, well, actually, we were just dropping something off, and on the way back, she said, I was with insert name of a kid when they got arrested for the first time. And I said, oh really, what'd they get arrested for? Heroin? And she said, no, improper start. About the same thing.
So, yeah, the Beatles, like their drugs, like their past lives apparently. Another one that I found very interesting was Phil Collins.
Really?
Yeah. He said that even from an early age, he had this weird draw, I guess you could say, to want to burn his army men.
Really?
And he said that the more he, as he got older, the more he learned about the Alamo, he believes that he was in Santa Anna's army that laid siege to the Alamo. And that he might have been one of the soldiers who burnt the bodies of the Alamo defenders.
Oh, Phil Collins.
At some point in his life, his wife bought him and gifted him a receipt. It was a receipt for I think it was a horse, a saddle, and a bridle that was used by that last messenger who left the Alamo trying to get help. And this started collecting for Phil Collins, and at one time he had amassed the largest collection of artifacts from about the Alamo in existence. And he did the right thing. He gave his entire collection to the Alamo.
Oh, that's cool. When did you do that? Like, did we see it when we were there?
I didn't write that down.
Heather.
I know, I'm horrible.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say we saw Phil Collins' stuff.
Okay, I am Googling this.
Seriously, you can't call it Googling if you're just looking up stuff on Etsy?
I'm Googling it. On Google. I am on the Google machine. No, apparently he donated this in 2014.
Oh, well, that's sad.
And the Texas legislature made him an honorary Texan. The Phil Collins Alamo collection is said to be worth an estimated $100 million. And it includes a rifle, one of only 4 in existence, owned by Davy Crockett. A French leather pouch.
I don't know what it
Crockett.
is tonight, but like every little thing makes songs pop into my head. Like, seriously, now I'm
Sabrina.
singing Davy Crockett. Like, Phil Collins, I was in my head singing Phil Collins song. Beatles, I was singing Beatles songs. I mean, like, this has
Um,
got to stop.
he also donated a Bowie knife, which Jim Bowie had in his possession um, during the Alamo.
Not Sam Bowie?
Not Sam Bowie. He wasn't alive yet.
Oh, and for those of you who do not know, Sam Bowie was like the last time that I was a Kentucky basketball fan.
But she can't see him live because every time she's ever tried to, he's broke his leg.
I really think that maybe he is the reason that I just can't watch now. I love.
Maybe you two are soul connected.
Maybe he lives.
Only it's a very bad soul connection.
He lives in Lexington. I could probably track him down, but for his safety, I'm not going to. Listen, I thought that he was like the shit. Like I don't even like basketball, but as a little kid, I would just sit in the floor and just like I was mesmerized. And every time I was supposed to meet him, like every time he was at something for a meet and greet or whatever, right before that, he would break his legs. And so, like after the fourth time, I was like, you know what, forget it. I do not care if I ever meet him. And I apparently live like an hour from him, and I could probably run into him at any time. But you know what? If I see a over 7 foot tall red-headed black man, I'm just going to pretend that I don't see him because I don't want him to fall down and break his legs or something. Like, I feel like I'm accidentally cursing him because I want to meet him so bad.
Speaking of famous Kentuckians, do you know that Johnny Depp has his farm for sale?
Yes, somebody was telling me that.
Yeah, he wants a couple million for it.
Just.
Okay, so, yeah. Phil Collins truly believes that he was a soldier in Santa Anna's army. And I kind of think that's cool. And I think that it's even cooler that he amassed such a huge collection and then donated it. That kind of makes you want to go back to Texas and, see the Alamo again. But I think next time definitely next time I will fly again because I don't want to have to road trip across Texas.
No. Although flying was not bad.
It wasn't. It is not my preferred mode of transportation, though.
While we were waiting, I don't know if it was, I think it was our connector flight. I don't know. It was all a blur because we left so freaking early. I was laying in the floor of our terminal waiting, and I had a Walkman. I think I just aged myself.
You totally did.
I had and okay, get this. It was Poison. Their very first, the debut album, and my Walkman ate it, and so I raised up, and I was like crying. I was like, my Walkman ate Poison, and Dad was like, well, it's probably gonna die now.
Who was those famous basketball players that was in the airport with us?
I don't.
They were like NBA level players.
I don't remember.
Anyway, one of them gave me his pillow because I looked really uncomfortable laying on a bench.
That's because we were all flying to San Antonio together.
I wish I remembered your name because that was a very cool gesture and I would be a fan of you, but I was little and I don't remember. So if you're listening and you remember, and you're a famous NBA basketball player, well, retired now, and you remember giving a pillow to a little girl in an airport in the middle of the night, that was me. Thank you very much. We're very weird.
What, that you just thanked somebody from 100 years ago?
So Melissa Etheridge believes in past life regression, and she believes in reincarnation, and she didn't until, as a joke, she had a past life regression session done.
Wait! Is she a Nora Baltimore too?
No. Her past life regressions unveiled 2 different past lives. One was in the 1800s, and she was a doctor. And she died of scolioderma.
Oh, yes.
Hardening of the skin.
Yes. I actually know people that have that. And the person I know has it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not derma. It's like whatever your organs is. So like their organs on the inside are hardening.
Um, Anthony's mom has something similar. It's not scleroderma though. It's dermatomyositis. It's instead of hardening, it's like an inflammation of muscles in the skin, and yeah, it's bad news. Okay. So in a past life before that, she was a cabaret performer in Germany. And she talks about all of this in her book called My Life in Love and Music. And she says that through subsequent past life regressions, she has learned that there is a hierarchy to how you're reincarnated. And the lowest form is you're reincarnated as a heterosexual male. Oh, and Abby and Hannah will love this because the highest form that you can be reincarnated as is a lesbian.
Well, they would like that.
I guess we were just stuck in the middle. I was intentionally trying to trigger a song for you there.
I know, and I'm fighting it, just so you know.
How many times have you watched the Rocky movies?
A lot, because I love the Rocky movies, and I've seen Creed a couple times too. Actually, I used to think that Sylvester Stallone was my soulmate. I had a dog named Rocky. I had a dog named Rambo. Ramekins was my favorite.
Oh my god, I love Ramekins.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
So if you're listening, Sylvester Stallone, I think you're my soulmate.
We love you. We love you a lot. We've named dogs after your movies.
Because we're lame.
And if you ever want to come on our podcast and talk about reincarnation, you are more than welcome. Consider this your open invite.
Or anything. I mean, you can talk about anything. You can talk about movies. We don't care.
You can talk about nothing. We don't care. We'll just sit there and, like...
only... You have to say, yo, Adrian. Like, that's the only thing I'm asking for. That's it.
Okay, so he credits the Rocky movies to him having been a boxer in a past life.
Wait, Sylvester Stallone
That was the
does?
inspiration for the Rocky movies, and that is why the Rocky movies turned out so well.
Cool. I did not know that.
He also believes that he took part in the French Revolution, and he was decapitated.
Oh.
Kind of interesting. I knew that his mom was a little bit of an out there hippie type. So I guess that's kind of where his, where this came from, where this started from, his belief in reincarnation. But he has very interesting and very strong opinions about who he was in past lives. So I found one that really shocked me and made me really sad. So, I mean, it's no surprise to anybody on the podcast that we are Kentucky girls.
What? Listen, I'm going to move to California because they listen to us more than any other state.
I thought you wanted to move to Massachusetts because it's beautiful.
I do. I know, I'm born and raised Kentucky, but maybe that's it. See, I never thought about past lives, but I always felt that New England was me. Like, I've always felt like I am in the wrong state.
She feels drawn to the sweet, salty air of New England.
Right. I mean, like I don't like anything that Kentuckians like. I despise sweet tea. I just despise tea, but I despise sweet tea. I think that horses are terrifying. I do not care at all about basketball. What else?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I like the fact that our winters are kind of
mild,
not extreme. Yeah, I mean, like they're kind of okay. And I would have to get used to it being like frigid and snowing all the time if I moved to New England. But I've always felt that New England is where I should be. Particularly, I've never been to Maine, but I just imagine myself living in a house on a bluff in Maine. But I've never been.
Like Practical Magic?
Yes. But I never actually thought of it like the movie Practical Magic. But yes, exactly.
So, people who live along the eastern seaboard, eastern coast, do you realize that your air smells sweet?
They probably don't.
It does.
Because they
it's
smell
a
it
very
every day.
distinct smell. I love it. Okay, so no surprise, we are Kentucky girls, born and raised. And in Kentucky, we have a museum. Well, I'm sure we have more than one. But we have a very particular one. To General George Patton. It's called the Museum of Leadership. And it is at Fort Knox. I said that very regimented.
You did. We talk about Fort Knox fairly often.
We do.
Like, this is probably like the third time we've talked about Fort Knox.
Interesting. I swear we do have other things in Kentucky besides Fort Knox.
And actually, I have never fucking been to Fort Knox, so I don't know why we talk about it all the time.
I have been to Fort Knox.
I mean, I have been to E-Town, but I was at a child care office, and I did a training, I got the hell out, and I came home.
I went to Fort Knox to watch a friend of mine graduate from basic. This was post-September 11th, so security on the base was heavily tightened. And we roll up to the gate, and it is not our cousin, who happened to be an MP in the Army at the time, who was working at Fort Knox, that was there. Some other guy. But I kind of feel that our cousin probably put them up to this and told them who to look for. Because we get up there, and one of them is pretending he doesn't speak any English. And they order us out of the car and tell us to pop the trunk and open all the doors because they need to do, search for bombs. That's okay. We also had to pop the hood. And my dear sweet friend who was driving, burst into tears and says, "I don't know how to pop my hood." Memorable moment. Sadly, we did not get to take in the Patton Museum. But Patton is kind of like a legend in the military, from what I understand. And it struck me as very interesting that he was also a poet.
Did he know it?
He did know it. And apparently there were books of his published.
Really?
And in one poem titled "Through a Glass Darkly," he wrote, "So as though a glass and darkly, the age-long strife, I see where I fought, in many guises, many names, but always me."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he was so good.
He believed that he was a perpetual soldier, that in each life he was just reincarnated as a soldier. I kind of hope that after World War One, and after he died, he was able to just yes, because that made me sad to think that he just goes from life to life, fighting and killing and dying. In one of his first assignments in World War One, he was sent to a French town that had been Roman. And he knew the town better than his French guide. He was able to give them exact directions to everything as it had been when it was a Roman town.
Oh, that's cool.
He told his guide that he knew the town so well because he had been there when he was in Caesar's
Oh.
Caesar's 10th Legion.
That's cool.
Very, very, very deep. I probably could find more about the different lives he thought he had if I dug a little bit deeper, but I was kind of afraid of making this episode another 2-hour episode. It was really surprised that one, Patton believed in reincarnation. 2, that he was a poet. And I'm just really sad at the fact that he is perpetually a soldier. I kind of wish he had wrote a book just strictly on his past lives and named it The Perpetual Soul.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I don't know. I just think that would suck. Like, I mean, not just because he was a soldier forever, but like any job. Like, could you imagine chronically being a
podcaster?
Well, this is actually kind of fun. Okay, if I had to be
chronically the janitor of a high school. Because girls are nasty.
Well, I was going to say just a teacher in general. Like, man, that is a hard job.
I wonder if
I mean, I was so happy when I got out of the classroom, not because I didn't like being around the kids, but because the expectation is so great on what people expect from you, but like what you're given to work with is so minimal that you don't have anything to work with. I mean, I laugh when I see the little meme that says teaching the only profession where you rob your house to bring supplies to school. But that's the truth. Like, I don't know of any other job where you where you take your own belongings to work with you.
And
it's the only profession that requires you to have a master's degree, but makes you pay for it yourself.
And doesn't pay you equal to what you deserve for a master's.
No.
And teachers work so many extra hours that are off the clock. When you see a teacher taking tickets at a football game, working concessions at a game, they're not getting paid for that.
Well, I mean, like, okay, this is marching band season, and I know that we have mentioned a million times that I'm really busy. Well, I'm just a parent volunteer. The actual band director, she's there all day long at work, and then she's there every evening after school with our kids, and every Saturday she's with our kids
all day long.
A
band competition is not a.
If you've never done more,
a band competition is not a. You go there, you perform, and you go home. Most of the time, you get to school at about 7 or 8 a.m. and you get back to school at 7 or 8 p.m. or later. It's an all-day event.
No, it's way later. Because, I mean, like, sometimes we don't even have final awards until 8 or 9.
True.
So you're not really getting back until 11 or 12 some nights. And then, so, I mean, like, you've had well over a 12-hour day. And then, in addition to that, you've had a ball game on the Friday night before that. So, you're at school all day long on Friday. You stay after school on Friday to run through the show a few more times. Then you get a little dinner break, which the band booster, we always try to provide something. Then they perform at the ball game. They play pep at the ball game. And we don't even get to the band room to put our instruments up until, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes we can go ahead and load some stuff right then. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, if we could load, like, the equipment trailer or something like that, we try to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're doing that in the morning before, anything else. It's crazy. And she does not get paid. I mean, I don't know what she makes, but I'm just saying that there's no way that she gets paid the time and the energy that she puts in with our kids. Like, she just doesn't.
And I'm sure
it's a thankless job because I'm constantly trying to get parents to come and help. So she is absolutely doing the best she can, and I mean, we've got a good program and we'll do very well this year, but she does not do it for the money, and she does not do it for
I'm sure that's
anything else. Like, she jokes that her poor dog, like, from July until November forgets that it has an owner because she's never home.
It's like that for most coaches that are also the teacher. I know our local football coach gets paid handsomely. I think that's not really fair to other coaches in the schools because, it's demanding. It's demanding on all of them. And they all deserve, equal compensation for the job they do.
Yeah. I mean, and it just makes me sad when they have to worry about whether or not they're going to be able to retire, which is a very real problem that we're having in Kentucky right now, and it makes me sad for
Yes.
them.
Okay, so
Totally off
topic, unless we were both reincarnated as band teachers at one point in time.
Oh, hell no.
I wonder if there's like a level system. Like, I wonder if Patton started out like as a regular grunt soldier and then worked his way up to premier general. And I wonder if like teachers start as like preschool teachers or Sunday school teachers and then work their way up to like
oh
the
no, that I'm
Dalai
just
Lama.
getting started.
I don't know. I don't think you were ever meant to be a teacher.
Really? I mean, I think so. I love the kids.
There's,
Okay.
Okay.
We gotta move off the topic of teaching.
do you want to get into some famous cases of reincarnation? Did you find any?
I actually only found one. I'm sorry. I told you you're gonna have to carry me.
I think we've
this
done pretty good
episode.
so far.
That's true. I mean, we got off on a lot of tangents. So, and I don't even think that my story is. Actually, maybe I do have two. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I have one that's not. I really don't even understand it. So, are you a fan of Apple?
Like-
That's a trick question.
Because I have
we
my
both have
iPhone in my
iPhones.
hand right now.
And we both had the original iTouch.
Man, I still got my iTouch. I would say I love my iTouch and I still have it, and we probably should have loaded it with music and taken it on our East Coast tour of pilot truck stops.
When mine stopped working, and I was very sad about that, and then Emmy threw it in the floor and shattered it because she's always wanted to shatter a screen of
She
something.
is so weird.
I was very pissed off. She is. So anyway, my iTouch is gone.
You know, you can buy them for dirt cheap on eBay.
Really? I remember it was like a couple $100 when we bought ours.
Yeah.
Okay, so a software engineer at Apple called Tony Sung sent an email to a Buddhist colony in Thailand asking them if they could tell him what happened to Steve Jobs after he died. And the response was that Steve Jobs is now a celestial philosopher in a glass palace that hovers over the Apple headquarters in California.
Well, I mean, I guess he's reached ultimate enlightenment.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Steve Jobs is extremely cool, super smart. So, I mean, I could see that would be his final. Like, what else is left for him?
It's still real. I remember I stumbled across that one while researching, and I thought it was awkward.
And yet I used it.
You were kind of awkward.
That is true.
So what's your second one?
Okay, so my second one was there's a 3-year-old. Okay, and I actually had to read this 4 times before I realized something about this. So, let me say the thing, and then I'll tell you what I did not catch the first couple times I read it. So, there was a 3-year-old who was born with a long red birthmark on his head.
Like your birthmark?
And yeah, mine's not. Mine is more of just a circle.
Holly has a weird birthmark on the top of her.
Yeah, it's just a red circle. My grandma kept telling me that it was cancer.
It's been checked numerous times. It is not cancer.
I know. I have had skin cancer, and so I make sure that my dermatologist checks it when she does my full body scan every year. And she laughs when I tell her that grandma thinks it's cancer. I mean, grandma's dead now, so I mean, if she came and told me that it was cancer, I would probably scream.
Maybe that's why I'm having dreams about grandma. Is it time for your yearly checkup?
In a couple months. I go in November. Anyway, so this little boy was born, and he had a long red birthmark on his head. And he kept telling people that he was killed with an axe. And So the village that he lived in, they were all cool with it because they believe in that. So they didn't like think that they're crazy or anything. Um, so the person that the little boy is saying that he was had gone missing about 4 years earlier, and they didn't. Nobody knew what happened to him, but the kid led authorities to his body, and then led authorities to the axe that was used to kill him, and then told them who killed him.
Weird.
Yeah.
So what did they do? I mean, they couldn't have arrested the guy, did they?
No, they couldn't arrest him. I mean, like, what would be the grounds? Because a 3-year-old says you did it. um. Okay, so the funny thing is, though, is it did not occur to me that the person who died was not also 3 years old. So I was imagining this 3-year-old being hit in the head with an axe. And then, like, there was a picture of the body, and I was like, that's not a 3-year-old body. And then it occurred to me that no, it was actually a man. And then he got reincarnated, and now he's 3. He wasn't 3 when he died, also.
Sometimes you're really simple.
No.
So I have an interesting story. And this is kind of a famous case. I watched a documentary on it several years ago called The Barra Boy. 6-year-old Cameron McCauley lived with his parents, and he started drawing a 2-story house on a tiny little island on a beach. It wasn't his house. Didn't look like any house that he ever visited. And he told his mom that he was from Barra, which is a small island off the coast of Scotland. That he had 3 brothers and sisters. He talked about this so much that his teachers became worried. And his playmates was telling him to shut up. That he was freaking them out. Yeah, he kept saying that he really missed his Barra family and was worried that they might be worried about him. And that his father was Shane, that his Barra father was Shane Robertson. This story attracted a lot of attention, and they started to film a documentary about it. And as part of the documentary, they took the boy to Barra. And a lot of what he said was able to be confirmed. He said that his house was close enough to the beach that he could see airplanes landing on the beach.
Don't they get sucked up in the sand?
It's not like a really loose sandy beach. But Barra is the only place in Britain that you can land planes on beaches. And that's where their landing strip is on the beach. They found the house that he was drawing pictures of. They found out that a family named Robertson had lived there. They got in contact with some family members of the Robertsons, and while going through old family photos, the dog and the cat that he kept talking about was found in these pictures.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah. But there had never been a documentary on the island of Barra, and the family didn't own a computer, so there was literally no way that he could have heard about this island or, put things together to come up with this story.
Little kids are fascinating.
They really are. Like Abby and her imaginary sister.
Yeah, that was weird.
I think we've discussed that on the show.
We have. But, I mean, in case you don't want to go back and find it, because I'm not for sure what episode it is on. I have fertility issues, and so I tried for a long time to have Abby. And so then when I had her, I was like, okay, well, she's going to be it, because I was not going through that again. And she kept talking about, for like ever, from like the time she could talk, she would talk about her sister, Emmy. And she just blah, 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 about Emmy all the time.
It got to the point where she
And-
was making us push Emmy on the swing.
Yeah.
That if we was reading a story, we had to include Emmy in it. If we was playing, we had to include Emmy in this.
Yeah, and so then one day, she just stopped talking about Emmy. Like, she just didn't mention her anymore.
Poof, Emmy went away.
Right, and she was 3, so that's actually like prime imaginary friend age, so it's like she wasn't really old enough to grow out of it yet. So one day I was just like, okay,
Wait, hold on.
Abby,
We need to preface with saying that Abby is a very literal-minded person, and she was even as a child. When she was
Yes,
playing
very.
pretend, she would specify that this was
That she was-
pretend. Actually, she didn't call it pretend. She called it pretend.
yeah, she would
And-
say
Emmy was never one of her pretends.
no.
Like,
And so
she would say, we're going to go play pretend Barbies. Because the Barbies are not real. They're toys.
She wanted you to know that.
She
So
didn't
that
want
you
you to
didn't
think she
think-
was crazy. She wanted you to know that she was make-believing.
So then one day I was just like, okay, Abby, where's Emmy? And she said, I have to wait. I was like, what? And she said, she's real now. I have to wait. Until I play with her. I have to wait. And I was like, what the hell is this child talking about? And sure enough, I was pregnant. So I was like, well, I guess I have to name this kid Emmy.
Holly and Mike actually let Abby name her, so she became Emmy. Actually, Abby did a top-notch job of naming her little sister.
She did.
No, like
named
Elmo, Purple Brontosaurus.
Well, considering she's named after PBS,
It could have been a lot worse.
it could have been a lot worse, yes.
So yeah, that is how imaginary sister Emmy became real sister. And it's very funny because when they was little, sometimes if Emmy was being really annoying, Abby would say, I wish you had just stayed imaginary. It's like it's a joke between them now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
It is. So another case we have is Edward Austrian.
Scissorhands.
No. Edward Austrian. And at 4, he started showing a very distinct fear of rainy days.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. And he, at the same time, he was started complaining about a pain in his throat. And he would say that he was shot and it hurt. Doctors really couldn't find a source of the pain, so they took out his tonsils just as a precaution. And that didn't help. Shortly after he had the tonsils removed, he developed a cyst. Doctors really couldn't find any reason for the cyst to have developed. But sometimes cysts just develop for no reason. His dad was actually a doctor also. And then one day he started telling this story about how he had been a soldier fighting in World War I, and he had been shot in the throat and died. Just after he told this story, the cyst in his throat went away, and he was all better.
Oh, that's freaky.
Very. Another story I found was the story of John Raphael, but also Peter Hume. Peter lived in Birmingham, England, and suddenly he started having very vivid dreams. He's the only adult in out of the stories, the in-depth stories that I found. Usually you associate very vivid past life memories with children. But he started having these very vivid dreams that he was a guard on duty on the Scottish border in 1646. More precisely, he was dreaming that he was a foot soldier named John Raphael. As part of these dreams, he kept dreaming of this church that had a tower, and there was a yew tree growing out of the tower. He visited one of the towns on the Scottish border that he thought was the town that his dreams was based around, and with the help of the village historian, was able to confirm the existence of John Raphael, that he was indeed a foot soldier in the army, and that church did in fact exist. But that there was very few records of the tower, because the tower had been torn down not before, but there was in fact a yew tree growing out of the tower. And John Raphael had been married in that church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, very, very interesting. Kind of also, what struck me as, what drew me to this story was that I too have had dreams about
Being a foot soldier?
no, but living on the Scottish border during sort of that tumultuous time. I've had these very vivid dreams since I was a small child. I don't really want to go into too much detail during the podcast because it's an emotional story for me to tell. But yeah, I can kind of see this. Okay. So years ago, I was in middle school. I had a dream. In the dream,
I had a dream.
I did have a dream. And in this dream, I was a child with you. And we were running around this house. And we were playing. And I had such a vivid understanding of this house in my dream. Because we were children. And
See, you can't get rid of me.
I can't.
We're siblings even in other lives.
And that house is in our hometown. I'd never been in it. I'd seen it from the outside, but I'd never been inside of it. And then a couple weeks after I had the dream, my teacher announced that we was going to take a tour of the house because it had finally been open. It had sat empty for years. Like it probably sat empty for 20 years at that point. So we go take a tour, and as soon as I walked in that house, it was like familiarity. Everything from my dream was exactly how that house was. And I took the next weekend was our town festival, and I took Holly. And she sort of had that same feeling of, hey, yeah, I know this place.
Yeah, we have since been, that was just a little tour. Since then, we were able to give tours of that place.
Several years after that.
Yeah, well, a decade or so after that.
Yeah, and that is where Emmy had a famous encounter with a little girl ghost, who she still considers one of her friends.
Yeah, the little girl's name was Cora.
One of our tour guides was walking into a room with a big tour group. Now she sees Emmy rolling a ball across the carpeted floor, and the ball stops halfway and then rolls back to her. And she ushers the tour group back out of the room and comes and gets me and says, you need to have a talk with your niece about playing with ghosts in front of tour groups. So we had to tell Emmy that, she's not allowed to play with ghosts in front of tour groups, that most regular, normal people get freaked out by that.
Yeah.
But that night, I camped on the lawn with several other members of my group, and I can say that house is probably one of the most haunted houses in Kentucky.
Yeah, I think it's funny, though, and we might one day do an episode on this house, because there's just so much stuff about it. But it's so funny because there have been paranormal groups that have gone into the house, and they've all come out saying, no, it's just an old house. Like, we didn't see anything.
Actually, we mentioned this on the last episode.
Yeah,
where we mentioned a group of local firefighters, law enforcement, etc., that broke into the house to do a paranormal investigation. Yeah, but most paranormal groups don't get any evidence from there. Our local 911 has received numerous calls from people who have seen ghosts in the house and on the property while driving past the house.
I think that it's cool, though. Like, I mean, not really cool, but I think that the reason that our group saw stuff is we were in it all day long under normal circumstances. Like, it's not you go in at night. This has totally gone off topic from past lives, but it's not like we didn't just go in at night with the lights off and equipment to catch a ghost.
We had hung out there all day, giving tours, talking about the history of the place.
Yeah, so like all day long, dressed in period clothes.
Yeah. I want to add one interesting story from this house. When the owner of the house arrived and handed me the key, he said, okay, he pointed to this room that's just off one of the porches, has a door on the outside. He says, that room is locked, we can't get into it. We've not been able to get into it since we bought the place. If you can get into it, great. Every member of our group tried to get into it, and the door was not budge. Then, one of our friends walks up to the door, just twists the handle, and the door springs open. And inside we found like a treasure trove of artifacts from the house. Beds and doors and all kinds of great things. He just had the magic touch. Maybe he had lived there in a past life also.
Although I don't think he ever said he did.
No, he never did. He never said he did. Very interesting house. Very, very, very haunted house. I can't say 100% that my dreams from it were past life dreams. I can say that the dreams from that house were very, very vivid. And I had a deeper understanding of that house than I should have, never having been. So are you still on the fence about reincarnation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just... possibly. I don't know. I don't know what happens to us after we're dead. I know that we don't always go where we should go and that we linger around. So, what's to say that some people get reincarnated and others just kind of roam around.
Yeah. While researching for this, I came across a experiment by a that happened in 1907 by Dr. Duncan McDougall. He placed 6 terminally ill patients on special beds that was designed to weigh them so that you can measure what they weighed before and after their last breath.
Oh.
And the patients lost 21.3 grams.
Each?
Each. Roughly 3/4 of an ounce. Between their last breath, between, being alive and being dead. They lost 21.5 grams. 21.3 grams. So, clearly, if that is true, and if we could replicate that over and over and over and over and over again, there is something in us soul-wise that is tangible. Maybe not tangible. Maybe tangible is not the right word. Something that does
I think tangible is... See, this is what gets me about... Well, see, I don't know. This is one of the things I'm on the fence about past lives, though. Is that I know that when we die, we're taken, like, that we're not alone. Like, I know that when we die, there's some person or thing or whatever you want to call it.
I don't believe that John Lennon was correct when he said that it was like getting out of one car into another.
I mean, like, maybe that being or whatever takes us somewhere else, and then, we get shuffled around and, like, moved into another body. I don't know. But I just know that my experience working with hospice, I have seen a lot of people die. I've seen a lot of last breaths. And by seeing a lot of last breaths, I've seen a lot of reactions to people taking that last breath. And a good number of times, they're talking about people that are in the room. And, I mean, like in one case, I may have mentioned it on this podcast before. I may not have. But there was this... He was so nice. And I want to say that his name was Ray, but I can't remember his last name or anything, but it's HIPAA, so I couldn't tell you anyway. He was such a nice guy, though, and I loved him. I always joked with him whenever I would go see him. And one day, I had to go get his vitals because he was not doing well. And I go, and I take them, and they're fine. Like, they're totally within normal range. But I leave my ink pen. And so I get to the next room, which was right next door. Because at this time it was, I was at a nursing home. So I go to the next room. Remember, I forgot my ink pen. Walk next door to get my ink pen. And he's got two roommates in there with him. And he's right in the middle. And he says, "Who's that behind you?" And I turn around and I'm like, "Oh, that's, whatever his roommate's name was." He was asleep. And he said, "No, I'm not. I know who that is. Who's that guy behind you?" And I turn around and there's no guy behind me. Um,
Now,
and
see,
so I,
if you had been open to the paranormal at that point in your life, you would have known there was somebody behind you.
well, I didn't want to know that there was somebody behind me. That place was creepy enough as it is. So I just said, no, there's nobody behind me. And I went over to his bed, squeezed his hand, grabbed my ink pen, and I walked out. Well, not even 5 minutes later, another person walked into his room, and he was dead.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have only watched one person die, and that was our grandfather. I can tell you that his death was incredibly peaceful. It was actually kind of beautiful to watch him die. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I feel like if people are
wasn't-
reincarnated,
Yeah, it wasn't a scary or bad experience. It was. He knew how he wanted to go. He told us he said that he wanted some hymns being sung to him, some Bible verses. He mapped them all out, and we made sure that he went out exactly how he wanted to. And I was holding his hand when he took his last breath.
I mean, if people are reincarnated, I would have to say that both of our grandfathers
Went
were,
to something
in my
better.
opinion, at their last body. That's my opinion. Is that our grandfathers were at their last body because I've never met two men as awesome, completely different.
Yeah, our grandparents, both our grandparents, our grandmas and our grandfathers were like polar opposites of each other. And they were absolutely perfect for the people they were with.
Yeah. But, I mean, they were both, like, amazing men. I've never encountered anybody as wonderful as them, so I can't imagine that there was anywhere else left for them to go.
A few days before he died, I woke up in the middle of the night to hear him clapping. Our grandfather had to have a tracheotomy when I was little, and he always... I know some people who have trachs can talk.
He can't.
He couldn't. He always had issues with his... They could never get it right. He could never talk. So we learned how to lip read. And to get our attention, he would clap. Actually, there's a game that we need at Walmart called lip reading. I think our family would be great at
it. Maybe.
So he was clapping, and I wake up a little bit because I'm just dozing off in the rocking chair next to him. And I see that he's setting up in bed something that he hadn't been able to do for weeks. And he's talking to somebody very animatedly. And I ask him if he's okay, if he needs anything. And he gets mad at me because I have interrupted his guest. A guest that I could not see. So I just say, okay, I'm going to get out. I'm going to leave you all to, talk. And I walk out of the room and go into the living room. So I just assumed that it was a visitor from whatever is beyond us there to talk to him about the journey he was about to take. And that's a comforting thought.
Yeah. I don't know who it could have been, but...
I don't either. Maybe it was Great Granny.
Maybe.
I think this was a lot better episode than you anticipated it being.
I know. I did not anticipate it being an hour and 30 minutes.
Do you have a stupid criminal for us?
Oh, damn it. I actually forgot about stupid criminals.
Well, while you're looking for that, I want to describe a stupid criminal. There is no News article. I tried to find one, so I'm just going to describe to you what I'm seeing. You see two men on a motorcycle. You see them through the backup camera on a tractor trailer. And one guy is reaching across his buddy's head with bolt cutters, trying to break the lock on the back of the truck. He succeeds, and as he's climbing over his buddy's head to grab onto the truck, he kicks his buddy off the bike. His buddy who was driving the bike. So then he is left hanging onto the back of the truck, no friend, so he just has to ease himself down and drop onto the fast-moving pavement because his buddy is wrecked his bike. So, whoever you guys are, you are our honorable mentions.
Do we want to do the woman who tattooed her 12-year-old?
Yeah, let's do it. I guess that's keeping in the thing with teachers because...
Yeah. So our stupid criminal is a mom, and she tattooed her 12-year-old daughter, Jesus Loves, on the little girl's shoulder.
Okay.
And yeah, the teacher saw it because the little girl showed up to a school dance with a strapless dress.
Nah.
Which, at our school, that would be the crime.
I think at my county schools it would be too.
Yeah. So, upon further investigation, the police found out that the dad forced her to get the tattoo. Then she later recanted and said, no, I wanted it. So, the mom actually did not know anything about it. So, I mean, I think 12 is too young. But as a parent, you really should have the right to tattoo your kid if you want to. But why would you want to tattoo your kid?
Tattoos are permanent. And, children are too young to, decide if that's what they want forever. My God, could you imagine running around with a Barney tattoo? Because at 10 you decided that Barney was cool?
No. I mean, I don't regret some of my tattoos, but there is definitely one that I want to get covered up.
The cow?
No, I love the cow. The basic white girl infinity tattoo.
I told you, you should have got what you originally planned.
I've decided I know what I'm doing now.
Okay. Well, give it a month and see if you really want to keep that.
Well, I'm pretty sure. I'm turning it into holly leaves. And then I'm going to have sprigs of grass on it.
Cute.
I know. I mean, it would probably be something I wouldn't get tired of, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows. But anyway, so the stupid criminal is, don't tattoo your 12-year-old. At least wait until they're 16. I think the rule should be, like, if your child can't legally buy cigarettes, can you still buy cigarettes at 16?
No, you'd be 18.
Okay, if you can't legally drive a car, you shouldn't legally have permanent ink on you. How's that?
I went to high school with a girl who got a tattoo while we was in, not a professional tattoo. She let one of the guys that was also in our high school give her a tattoo. Don't let people who are not professionals do things that will be permanent to your body. That is a demand. Because it's bad, and it usually ends bad.
Well, Abby is begging me for one, and I hope she's not listening. I think I'm going to give in and get her one for Christmas.
Is she even old enough in the state of Kentucky?
She is in the state of Kentucky. As long as I sign, she's okay. And she'll be 5 months from her birthday.
I've seen a lot of really horrible tattoos.
She wants an Adam.
Of course she will. As long as she doesn't get Luther tattooed across her forehead and across her and down her shin.
I don't think that she will do that.
I'm just saying, I know somebody who has them. But meth makes you do stupid things.
Well, that's true.
What's that saying that, well, anyway, we'll just go with cocaine's a hell of a drug, man. I'm sure most of our listeners have seen that the Chappelle Show episode. And they're like, oh my God, Heather is such an idiot because she can't remember that guy's name. But it's been a long day. I'm tired.
It has been a long day. And for whatever reason, we insist on recording this right before bed.
We do. I think it's because you have a busy day every day.
I know. Okay, so let's say that you like our podcast.
Or love our podcast.
Or you love our podcast. Let's say that you listen to us every week and you are totes jealous and you want to know how you can be a super awesome
mega cool
podcaster. Yeah. You want to join the Cool Kid Club and you want to know how we do it. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you.
You join Podbean.
You join Podbean. And
you use our...
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, you use our affiliate code, Haunted Family PB, and you join Podbean.
And yeah, it's that simple.
You record
It
some
is.
episodes, you edit some episodes, you upload it to Podbean, and you let Podbean do the work.
Yeah, and listen, I'm surprised all the time at how wonderful Podbean is. Like, just today I screenshotted our dashboard because I just realized that I can see what devices you guys are using.
Yeah. Actually, we send each other almost daily Podbean screenshots because we see something and we get excited. Like the other day, actually Monday, just a couple hours after we launched Poltergeist, I was so blown away by how many downloads it had already received. So I screenshotted that and sent it to Holly, and I was like, "Oh my god, how cool is this? People listen to us. Lots of people listen to us.
We get so excited.
We do. We totally geek out squealing because people actually listen to us.
I know. And you know what? We want to listen to you.
We
so,
do. We're avid podcast listeners.
Listen, we've got... Well, I drive a lot for work, and so I need something to keep, me focused and not, getting drowsy and driving off the road.
Yeah.
Admittedly, today I have been having the new Taylor Swift song on loop. I mean, I just cannot get enough of Look What You Made Me Do.
And when I'm out feeding my animals or in the embroidery shop working on something, I've got my headphones on and I'm listening to a podcast. If I'm taking the 20-minute trip from my house to near civilization, I'm listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
It's just what we do.
Sign up, use our affiliate code, and then let us know that you did so that we can listen to you because we want to follow you. Podbean lets you...
We'll give your podcast a shout out on our show because we actually have listeners.
Yay, we do. Let's see. Let's talk about some of the great things about Podbean. It's
amazing
super easy.
Analytics.
Yes. The analytics is awesome. It's really, really easy to upload an episode. It's actually, and if you did, I did, I forgot to put the episode number on our last episode, and it took me 2 seconds to go back in and add that. So once it's uploaded, you can edit, and it's fine. It's super easy.
If you want to have your shows also on YouTube, Podbean does the work for you. You just link your YouTube account and your Podbean account, which took me literally all of a minute. And it will effortlessly put your podcast on your YouTube channel, publish it for you. It's awesome. We love looking, about weekly, we will look and see who our top rated state of downloads is. So far, it's California. We love you. But it's easy. Podbean is easy.
And, I love that I can pay for it for an entire year. And I don't have to worry about it.
It's very user-friendly, especially for people like us who are not very tech-savvy.
Yeah. I like that it doesn't put a limit on how long this episode can go, because the last couple episodes, we've been long-winded.
And our previous hosting site did put a limit on us.
They would shut us off after an hour.
It was fine for our first, 20 or so episodes. But as we grew and as we became better podcasters, we quickly outgrew our first hosting site. They were fine. It was a good first hosting site, but we love Podbean. Podbean is everything that we wanted.
Yeah, and I don't even know how I stumbled upon them, but I'm so grateful that we did, because they've been fantastic to us. And if you've got a question, they get back to you.
Yes, quickly, which is important. Because sometimes you're freaking out because you can't get your podcast to load or something, and they're right there to save it. I don't think that's actually ever happened. Okay, so are you ready to say goodbye?
I am. So find us on Instagram, Facebook, Haunted Family Podcast. Email us. We love to hear your stupid criminals. hauntedfamilypodcast@gmail.com. Or just to say hi.
Yeah, find us on YouTube. We have a website. Check out our website.
Yep.
Thanks
We're
to
Haunted Family
Podbean.
Podcast everywhere.
Thanks to Podbean, our website and our podcast are fully integrated with each other. We are Haunted Family Podcast everywhere. Check out Holly's Etsy shop if you want some awesome Haunted Family Podcast merchandise, handmade.
Yeah.
By
I really
the
do
Haunted
think
Family
it's.
Podcast.
I'm pretty sure it's cat hair glitter.
I think it is too.
Okay.
If it's not, send me an email at hauntedfamilypodcast@gmail.com and I will send you a direct link to it. We've actually had people order our shirts directly from our email.
Oh.
No, they ordered our Water is Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for listening. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.